All right, this is Resource for Care. It's resource the number 4care.com, where we have health and wellness information for seniors and their adult children. Today we have an expert panel, and I'm going to ask you all to take turns picking a question, and whoever feels they can answer the question, jump in and answer. But also, when you do go to answer, say who you are and what your specialty or your superpower for senior help is. Okay, who wants to be our first guest? Read it out loud.
Oh, I'm going to. I had to look at it. How do I manage chronic conditions or multiple medications? Wow.
That's a good question.
Well, it is a good question. Well, I think a lot of it, and then I may give it to someone else. But I think a lot of it might be obviously what your chronic condition is and what your medications are. We'll say this, as we get older, we process medications differently. So we once might have been able to take a certain milligram of something and it worked out well for us. And then the next time we took it, it didn't work so well. So we had to go back and get it adjusted. So chronic conditions are difficult because they bring a lot of things with them, like depression and anxiety and looking towards the future and wondering what. Anyway, my name is Lynn. Is this what you want us to do?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm Lynn from Crestwind Behavioral Health, and so we are a short-term acute facility, but we do see a lot of folks with both chronic conditions and attempts to manage medications that sometimes have gone awry. So we get lots of patients in like that. But I would say always speak with your physician, okay?
That's a good.
Have him or her tell you exactly what you're taking and why.
Awesome. So, Donna, you want to answer, or pull a question?
Sure. You pick up your mind.
I'm Donna with Hearthside Senior Living, and the question is, what kind of healthcare support or services should I arrange? There's several of us here that could answer that, but I'll start. You should arrange the things that will serve you as you move through the senior life, whether it's changing physicians, multiple physicians. When we were talking about the medications, you may have a cardiologist, you may have a psychiatrist, you may have a urologist, just depends on what you need. But then you also need to think about what you're going to need if you're moving out of your home, downsizing, moving in with family, are you moving to a senior community? So what support services are you going to need? Home care, are you going to need some kind of home care to follow you as you move? Or are you going to stay home? Are you going to make your home safe to age in place? So the support services are going to be really based on what you need as far as what you're looking for in the future. Documentation that you're going to need to have in place, home care services. We've got Kristen here who can talk about the insurances and things like that. So I'm going to pass it over to her because she knows about benefits that are available.
Well, and as far as which services you should be arranged, I think you're spot on, Donna. My name is Kristen Miller, and I own Mid-South Aging Consultant. I also run a nonprofit called Memory Makers of the Mid-South that provides free programs for people with dementia. So there are a lot of situations that we encounter that call for different kinds of protocols. So I think at the bare minimum, you should go ahead and think about your estate planning, which would include powers of attorney. In case you cannot make decisions for yourself, you have to name somebody that can. Your will, maybe a trust, your advance directives. That's always a good place to start. Okay. And then also start looking at your choices in care. A lot of people have misconceptions about what assisted living is, and they think it's all a nursing home. And so just take some tours, gauge some ideas. Maybe call someone like one of our partners,
Like Leanne to help you move?
Leanne to help you move, and also
Sherry to help you sell?
Sherry to help you sell, and LaShundra
To modify a house?
to help look at some home modifications. And then just kind of weigh all your options. There's a lot of things to consider also, like where does your family live? Do you want to be closer to your family? What
Right.
does your local support network look like? What about your place of worship? What would you do if you couldn't drive anymore? So it's a good thing to start looking at these options well ahead of the time that you need them.
Right.
Yeah, and also, I think, thinking about where you're going to be. Like Rochelle, I was saying earlier, she is the icon here in Collierville. So if you're in a certain area, you want to find someone, whether it's a real estate agent, someone at church or whatever, that can help you in that community that you want to stay in. So as far as whether you're selling your home, just downsizing, like I said, moving in with family, you want to find someone in that area that can give you the expertise that you're looking for.
Can I elaborate? Hi, my name's Rochelle Mayer. I'm with Crylike Realtors. I'm a certified senior real estate specialist, and I have been with this lovely group of ladies for several years in different capacities. But I did want to add on, especially for people who are starting out thinking about the concept of your future and what may or may not happen. When you're in your home, and I know Kristen spoke to it a moment ago, when you're in your home, look around your house. Is your home somewhere that you want to be and want to stay as you age in place? Most people do. I mean, most people want to age in place at home, if at all possible. So start taking a look around at home. What can you do to make your home a safe space for you now or in the future? Because even doing something as simple as moving a rug can be a very hard conversation when you get to that point. So start thinking about those things now.
Yeah, this question had us all basically have one common denominator, and that is plan in advance and educate yourself in advance. And that's what we're all about. And I wanted to defer to Sherry a minute, because as far as strategic planning, in the book you wrote to help people navigate that, maybe you can touch on.
Right. Yes, I am
pre-planning.
the author of Senior Housing Roadmap, and that was one of the reasons we wrote it. We saw so often that people just did not have a plan in place. Yes, they want to age in place, but they don't tell their children that.
Right.
And then no plans are made, and they go to the hospital, and they end up going to rehab. And then what's the next step? And if the children don't know, so the book was written really to get communication happening so that people could make that plan. If the plan's in place, it makes it so much easier, not just on that person, but their
Right.
whole family. It just makes it so seamless.
Absolutely. Okay, let's just, for interesting sake, let's move on to another question. We want to pick one, Rochelle? You haven't picked one yet?
All right. The question actually is perfect timing. How can I talk to my parent about their care needs?
There you go.
Who wants to answer that?
Well, if you just read this book. I'm Sherry Harbor with Harbor Realty. I've been helping people move and relocate for 25 years, but my passion the last 10 years has really been helping seniors move. But if I could just get people, and we offer this free to the community
Free.
so that they can do this.
This is free, that is free.
Absolutely. That's what
Yes.
WISH is all about, right? Getting
Yes.
information out to the public. So if they'll read that and talk to their family about it, and if they grab the workbook to go along with it, that's free too, and start filling it out, they will start to see some of the gaps. Oh, yes, we have a power of attorney for our health care, but we don't have one for our real estate. Or financial, we need power of attorney for financial. So if they can just start communicating to their family that way, it's a hard subject. Sometimes when they have a common denominator they can talk about, or if it happens to somebody else, we often opens up the subject. Oh, you know what happened to so-and-so the other day?
Right.
And then we can talk about it within our family too. Anybody else?
I would just say, don't make a big deal, but make it a big deal. And here's how you do that. You don't say, Mom, Dad, we need to talk.
Oh.
You don't say, we need to help you plan your future. We need to help. You don't say that. You say, come over for a burger, or let's go to dinner, or let's just hang out for a little bit. And then you sort of slide that in.
So recently, we were visiting family, my husband's family, and it's really just the two boys, right? So we were over, and we brought over 2 copies of 5 Wishes. 5 Wishes is a document. In some places it's legal, a legal document, but it helps the conversation along about not just the nuts and bolts that are in this book, but also the soft things. You know, what do you want your ceremony to be? That type of thing. And we kind of slid that in, but even with doing that, the horror or the fear on my brother-in-law's face that we would actually bring up the topic. I mean, we're not their power of attorney, we're not their next of kin or anything, but I think it's something that if you care about each other, you want to know these things. You don't want to be in a crisis mode or in a, be upset and having to make these decisions.
Yeah, having worked in the funeral industry for a few years, I can tell you there's a huge difference in people that have had that conversation and people who have avoided it. A lot of the people that want to avoid it feel that if we bring it up, somehow it will come to
invoke
pass.
it happening.
Well, I hate to burst your bubble, but none of us lives forever.
Right.
And so, and we also know that accidents happen. My mom had a friend who was visiting another friend, fell down the stairs in the middle of the night, became paralyzed. My dad suddenly passed away unexpectedly. These things happen every day, and if we don't know what somebody's wishes are, how can we carry them out?
Right.
How can we live with that burden of, did we do the right thing? And so it's just, sometimes it's not an easy conversation to have, but it needs to be done.
Yeah, it's a gift you give your family.
It is a gift, definitely.
I would say quickly too, it is much more meaningful if everybody does it. So listen, just because you got adult children, they got some wishes too, and if they don't, make them. So that means everybody's on the same page.
Right. Yeah, we don't have to be a senior. Okay, Sherry, you pick one.
Oh, me?
That was somebody.
Okay, I'll pick one. You did. How can I help my loved ones understand my care needs without feeling like a burden? My name is Cindy Longmire, and I have a mobile manicure pedicure business for individuals that are homebound. And their medical needs and their daily needs can vary. How I can help them is that they have come to a time in their life where their mobility is an issue and they have a difficult time getting around. So what I can do to help them, I'm a licensed manicurist, is I can go to their home. I can go to them. The name of my company is Your Place, and the reason it's your place is because that's where I'm going, wherever you may live, with your family or by yourself. And I can do foot care for them and do manicures for them and help them feel better. And also too, it's not just a vanity thing for them as much as also allowing them to stay as mobile as they possibly can, even if that means with a walker. And taking care of their feet is very, very important. Kristen has got quite a few clients that she has referred to me, but just being able to take care of their feet and, making sure that they don't have any issues that need to be addressed by their medical physician.
Well, I've had you speak at different things because you have such a way about you, Cindy, as far as gaining people's trust and love. And so can you impart some of that based on the question, like how do they let people, they feel guilty asking for help?
Number one, I love seniors. I truly, truly love seniors, and I love what I do. I've been doing this for almost 8 years. I love their stories. I ask a lot of questions, and a lot of times our conversations, they begin to talk about things that they haven't talked about in a long time, where they grew up, when they got married, because no one asked them about that. And
so what questions would you, what would you tell a family member? How would you teach them to do what you do?
To engage with them and to be with them. So many times, they will, my clients will tell me that their kids and their grandkids are so busy. I've had clients tell me, my daughter comes over and she's here for 10 minutes. Yes, she did go to Walgreens and pick up medicine for me, but she walked in and in less than 10 minutes, she turned around and left. And, it's hard for us because we're so busy and we've got so many different responsibilities, but the best gift that you can give your family member, your loved one, is time.
Right.
Is time.
That's very wise.
And sometimes we think that costs money, but it doesn't cost money. And they just need to feel like they are important. They're stuck in their home. They're not driving anymore. They're not going to church. Their social activities have been limited. So just to make them feel like they still matter, that they're important, that, because with our fast-paced world, with technology, they feel like they're being passed by.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just making them feel like they're important.
And I'll add to that, that's why a senior community is great.
Exactly.
Whether it's independent living, assisted living, that's where
It's the
that helps,
interaction.
because I get so many people that come in my office and they go, well, my mom's by herself and she doesn't leave. Well, no, she's got to walk out of her house next door to somebody, and if it's pouring rain, if it's cold, they're not going to do that. And so they lose touch with everybody. And like you said, they're not going to church.
Right.
You get them to go to the doctor, and that's it, and then you bring them home.
Right.
So you've got that communication between their own age group when you're in a senior community, and that is what is so important. And we even have them in our building that they say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bother you. The whole thing is letting them know they're not a bother. They're not a bother to any of us in our building, for sure. But they also need to know that they've got that neighbor right next door, their table mate. They sit and talk after they eat.
Right.
And that's where it's so important, because that keeps their mind sharp and it keeps that relationship going. And that is so, so important. I mean, if I get to be 90 years old and I don't have anybody around me, what am I going to do? I'm going to
Right.
deteriorate. So
Yeah.
it's whether it's independent or assisted living, that's the whole point of it.
The other nice thing about that is us that are caregivers, we only have 10 minutes
Yeah.
to go do something. But if they're in a community, we can come and spend our time enjoying them.
That's right.
Right. But I would also say that if the only time you're interacting with your family member is to do the tasks of care or to pick up the medications or drop something off, then when you go to have that conversation, it's going to be a huge deal. Whereas if you set specific time aside on a weekly basis to give them that gift, then you have more opportunities to start that conversation, and it won't be, to your point, as big of a deal. It won't be, well, we need to talk. Okay, you've only dropped off medication, once in 2 weeks, and now we need to talk.
Yes.
So, what do we need to talk about, right? So I think it rolls into that as well for families.
Well, and I think too, changing the narrative. So rather than, oh, this is, one more task that I have to add to my list and I'm already stacked up today. And instead of feeling like caring for your loved one is a burden, it should be a privilege. That person gave their life to raise you and take care of all of your needs and schlep you around and cook your dinners when they didn't feel like it. And sometimes we know that being a parent, we love our children, but it can be kind of burdensome sometimes.
Sure.
And so then when that scenario changes, now we're kind of put in their place and we understand how it feels, but we should see it as a privilege to care for those who cared for us. And we know that families have a lot of interesting dynamics. Not everybody was a perfect parent. And if that's the case, I would highly encourage talking to a counselor, even a clergy member, somebody that you can trust to kind of work through some of these things. And if you're the parent and you're feeling like you're a burden, be honest with your kids. So many times we've seen older adults try to hide their infirmities because they don't want to feel
Right.
like a burden.
So, and to piggyback on that, my own mother, for example, was hiding financial. She didn't. We have that dynamic, right? The parent and child dynamic, where the children aren't supposed to know anything, and parents want to protect their children, but part of protecting your children as we become adults and your adult children are having those conversations, it is protecting your children from the crises that may happen in the future and knowing what to do and how to plan and knowing what your needs are. That ultimately will prevent the burden by having those conversations early.
I think we have time for maybe one more question. Sherry, pick one.
How can I help my parent maintain their independence while providing care? I'm working with this right now. My mom said, "Can I please stay in my home as long as possible?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am." Even though it means we're an hour and a half away. There's several trips out of town. It's worth it. My sister-in-law says, "Oh, I can do that. I'm here in town." And they didn't understand that. No, I want to be there. If I go sit at the doctor's office for 3 hours, that's 3 hours of quality time.
That's right.
I have with my parent. So that's one of the ways I can help my parents maintain independence while providing care. But that's not really care, it's just services. So is anybody providing care that wants to answer that?
Well, it's a question that I get a lot, and somebody else can feel free to expound upon it. But to be home and to be safe at home often requires in-home care, medical or non-medical. And so I worked for several years for a non-medical in-home care organization where we helped people with their activities of daily living, helped with the feeding, the bathing, the laundry, transportation, getting them from point A to point B, which you need because you can't, as you've already heard, you can't just stay at home. You need people to come in and be able to help you live as full a life as possible if you want to age in place at home. And then there's non-medical, and then there's medical home care. And you want to expand on that?
That's also what's so important about an independent or assisted living community, because you maintain your independence. Those are apartments. They are your apartment. We're just privileged to be there to help take care of you. So you've got your apartment, and I've got several in my building that still drive. Independent living, those are people that still drive and do things. So even if you're not driving, that's your apartment. You eat, you sleep, you get up, you don't get up. We don't come in there and say, "Hey, it's 6 a.m., you got to get up." So it's your independence with having the security of someone to help take care of you, cook for you, do housekeeping, do laundry. Why do I not live there myself? I mean, they do everything, and that's what it's all about. You've still got your independence, and you've still got your friendships, but you've got the security of knowing somebody's there 24/7 to help take care of you.
I'm just going to say one more thing because I think we're close to our time. Often caregivers or family members feel guilty delegating the care to a home care or allowing this independent living to do things for your family members. But to the point everybody was making, that if you're doing all the tasks, then you're possibly burning yourself out. And then you do begin to feel a little burdened. But if you're able to peel off some of those things to outside help of some sort or in the community, then you can go to the doctor's office for 3 hours and spend the time talking with mom. So don't feel guilty about.
Mary Lou, can I add one
Yeah,
little
of course.
thing just to the last thing about the parent wanting to stay in their home, and I see this all the time because of technology. So many of the family members, one of the part of the negotiation is that, yes, Mom, you can stay in your home, but I'm going to put cameras in your home. I've got friends, I've got colleagues that, Miranda, that, she is comfortable with going to lunch or going to a meeting because she can see what's going on with her mom. The parent knows that, so it's not an invasion of privacy, but it's a negotiation for you being able to stay in your home and be safe so that I don't have to worry, because if something did happen and you did have a fall, I'm going to know about that and be able to get you the medical, treatment that you need. So again, there's definitely some options to stay at home and be safe.
So I just want to conclude by saying, these are a group of professionals who volunteer their time to share what they know. And most of them, and by the end of the year, hopefully all of them, will have been interviewed on different educational topics, which will show up on resource, the number 4care.com. And there'll be links to podcasts as well as YouTube recordings, sharing not only what we shared today, but basically everything we know and that we've been practicing for how many years, guys? How many years do you think together we have? Probably 100 years. Wouldn't you say?
Way more than that.
200 years? All right, so tap into this resource. Go to resource, the number 4care.com.